I'm here with Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Peter, the CIA is giving the 2020 candidates a, quote, briefing book to counteract fake news and foreign election interference. That's the key point. What do you make of this?
Well, the reason why I wanted to do this, it caught my eye yesterday, and it wants to counteract fake news, okay, and propaganda. No, it doesn't. This briefing book is to lay the seeds of fake news and propagate propaganda. We have here these two gentlemen here that are leading it here, former acting CIA directors Michael Morell and John McLaughlin. And they're calling it a briefing book, is molded on the classified oral briefing that the intelligence community provides to the nominees of each major political party running for president, usually after the nomination. No, it's before now. Why? Because they want to create the parameters, the confines, the borders of what is acceptable political discussion. What they want to do is they say, they want to create this monoculture about the intelligence community, about foreign policy, and you can only go this far, and you can go this far. Okay, and what they want to do is to make sure no one pulls a Trump of 2016. Right. When Trump came out with his unorthodoxies, unfortunately, he has not really lived up to them in foreign policy. But what they're doing, they're shooting across the bow of every single potential nominee because they want to make sure they don't get into that mess where no one will, first of all, question the intelligence community again. That's one thing they want to make sure. They don't want anyone that's going to say NATO is obsolete. They don't want anyone to say maybe we should spend more money on infrastructure. And remember the baddies, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, who are great friends, the Saudis, the Israelis, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason why it caught my eye is because the Washington Post is presenting this as something that's a positive. And anyone that knows how news is manufactured and distributed and weaponized would see this article exactly for what it is. Michael Morell, I mean, if Hillary had prevailed, he would be the head of the CIA right now, most likely. There seemed to be the conventional wisdom before the election that he would be the person appointed. And of course, he was carrying a huge amount of water for Hillary Clinton during that campaign. Oh, remember, he was the guy.
Wasn't he the guy that said to assassinate?
Are you reading my mind halfway across the world? I was just like, remember, he's the guy that talked to Charlie Rose and says we have to start killing Russians. And of course, Charlie Rose, the moron that he was, just kind of nodded his head, didn't question the fact that Michael Morell was advocating murder. Nobody batted an eye. Because this is exactly what this briefing book does. It controls the narrative, how far you can go and what you can talk about. So Tulsi, they're going to probably say, you better read this or we won't let you go to the primaries. Okay, this is again a warning. It's a warning to all potential nominees that you cannot stray from the path. You cannot wander off the deep state's reservation. And this is This is exactly what we're seeing going on in Facebook and on Twitter, determining the boundaries where you can go and where you can't go. It's at every single level right now. We have it with the 2020 campaign. We have it in social media. Everybody has to stay in line. All right. And of course, anyone that wants the nominee, Donald Trump will forever be the anomaly because he didn't pay any attention to these people. It's probably why he got elected. But these people will fall in line, and the Democrats, of course, are in bed with the deep state. They're and the media, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. They are the media arm of the DNC and of the deep state. So this was a fascinating. I'd love to see the briefing book. Of course, reading through the article,
37 pages.
It's the usual thing about who our enemies are, what our national interests are, and why empire. They don't say that word, but why empire is necessary, and it'll be part and parcel of the Democratic Party's platform going into 2020.
Yeah, and I'm sure someone like Beto O'Rourke, who's completely malleable, has no position on anything. He'll read the 37 pages and be like, oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
He'll just memorize it like he does everything else.
Yeah,
Okay,
he'll get on the table and just starts, spitting it out verbatim. But someone like Tulsi Gabbard,
see, that'll be
she would give
different.
some pushback.
She would give some pushback. As a matter of fact, wouldn't it be interesting to see Tulsi and Michael Morell have a public debate? That would be fascinating. Of course, he's too cowardly. He would never do it because these people never want to really debate. They just want you to nod your head and shut up. And she's the wild card in all of this. There's many things that she believes in that I don't agree with, but there are some very fundamental things about her foreign policy that I do. And I believe, because I'm a big advocate of free speech, we here at the Duran are a big advocate of free speech, she should be given her platform to talk about her ideas. Because once people hear them, they kind of go, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Tulsi, maybe we could elaborate on that, okay? This manual, they want to keep that kind of those kind of thoughts out of the public square.
Yeah, then I can imagine. I mean, he hasn't officially announced it yet, but someone like Biden, who eventually will announce it, he'd take the 37-page document and be like, guys, I am the deep state.
Yeah.
Don't hand me this stuff. What are you guys talking about? I'll tell you about regime change. I'll talk to you guys about.
Yeah, but don't you think also is that what is it? Brennan's. It was Chuck Schumer after Trump was elected. The deep state has 6 ways to Sunday to get you, and Biden will, of course, he'll follow in line. Okay, none of these people have any convictions with the exception of Tulsi. The rest of them are just carbon copies of each other. And what they'll just do is the only thing that will make them different is to what extreme that they will go when applying identitarian politics. Okay, that's the only thing that will be different. Okay, but on foreign policy, they're going to be uniform as can be, with the exception of Tulsi.
Do you know anyone else outside of Tulsi, Peter, of the candidates right now, the Democrat candidates, that has elaborated a bit on their foreign policy at all?
Some of them went to APAC this year. Some of them didn't go. Again, they have to be mindful of their base because support of Israel is declining in the United States, even among Jews. Because Jews tend to be more liberal, and Israel is not exactly a liberal state. Okay, that's an understatement. I think it's much more nuanced, but I think on the issues of like war and peace, more foreign interventions, I think they're all blasé on it. Okay, it's because it's never discussed in American politics in the public on the airwaves, in the op-eds. I mean, it's not if we need empire. It's to what degree we need it. I mean, no one's ever questioned we got to get rid of this. Donald Trump did. Rand Paul did. Ron Paul did. Okay, look what happened to them. So no, it's always to what degree they should have empire, to what degree they should be wasting money on defense, to what degree should there be interventions in Venezuela. Do you think the pack of candidates, do any of them really have any nuanced thoughts about Venezuela? I doubt it. Okay, I mean, I think you and I saw an article a few days ago, maybe last week, in the American Conservative, and they say, what are their foreign policy views? It was a short article. I seem to remember it wasn't very nuanced.
Yeah, and I would also say on that point, I think you're right in that the Democrats, the Democrat Party has become the war party anyway. I mean, there's not much difference between the positions that the Democrats take and what the neocons profess to.
Yeah. They just call it different things, okay, but it's the same thing, okay. They might use different rhetoric, okay. Yeah. Humanitarian intervention,
yeah.
Okay, a right to protect, okay. But it's all Bolton and Pompeo. Okay, it's this nonsense.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the doctrine of empire.
Yeah, it's a doctrine of empire. And Bolton and Pompeo could easily just end up after Trump could end up on MSNBC and CNN.
Oh yeah,
much like Max Boot.
Yeah, absolutely. David Frum.
Okay. Yeah. Also. It's incredible what's happened to the Democrats, isn't it, Peter? I mean, you're a historian. To see how they've morphed into this war party.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of interest at stake here. Trump is such a disruptor. The idea of Trump as a disruptor. And, one of the things I've thought about for the last 2 years, like particularly since the Russiagate imploded with the Mueller report, and, maybe a question to you, hasn't it really disappointed you over the last couple of years how nominally you thought were smart people say stupid things? It's really extraordinary. It's been
eye-opening, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, you would think that no matter how much you disagree with her positions, that Rachel Maddow was this Rhodes Scholar, very intelligent person. And then you realize, she really does believe this Russiagate thing. What does it say about her?
Well, this goes back to my favorite phrase, ideological possession. Okay. I mean, I'm no psychologist. I'm no psychiatrist. Okay. But did you see the opening on Monday of her program? She spent like 5 or 6 minutes about leaving from a fishing trip. And her voice was kind of quivering and her eyes were all puffed up. Yeah. And it was just this is a person that's not really in control because her whole world collapsed. Her whole world collapsed with that report. I never watch Rachel Maddow. I see her being mocked by Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. And, they're always going to pick their choice pieces, but she seems a bit deranged to me because she's so obsessed with something. And even when she's proven wrong on her own program, she doesn't learn from it. That's what's really bizarre. And that's the danger that we're in, because no matter what evidence you're presented, your mind cannot be altered. Your thinking cannot change. Look, I used to be very liberal, but I've thought over the years very deeply. And I've come to different conclusions that I had in the past, because I think I'm always growing intellectually, because the more I learn, the more I can solidify and think about ideas. And when you look at the 2.5, 3 years of this, no one on the left has learned anything.
Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, who else? Chris Matthews, all these guys. Lemon, Cuomo.
I thought he Chris Matthews was going to have a mental breakdown on air.
Wolf Blitzer. I mean, these are guys that once upon a time you thought these were, the intelligence journalists, the best of the best. And that's kind of all shattered, hasn't it?
It's all shattered. And what is so, I guess, I always say remarkable, but it's not remarkable. They all use the same talking points. You can go from one show to the next, and it's always the same phraseology. I mean, it's as if Jeff Zucker has sent out the word, through his eunuch. I love that. I just love that.
Thank you, Tucker Carlson, for that one. Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
Between Tucker Carlson and Mark Dice, poor Stelter. Because Mark Dice does the voice, and Tucker Carlson has the perfect nickname.
But we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I mean, there was a huge drop off here. And we have to really understand what the audience of CNN and MSNBC are. They just as into this conspiracy? Because did they watch it for affirmation that it's true, not because it's Rachel Maddow and CNN? Because if the drop continues, it was because they wanted to believe in this conspiracy, not because they believed Rachel Maddow. Okay, we'll find out. It's early days. We'll see that the trends are in the next few weeks. But we just talked about right before this podcast. I said things feel different to me now with this in the past. Okay, it feels different. Okay, Fox News, they took a victory lap this week. Okay, all right, fine. They've been pushing back against this conspiracy for 2+ years. Okay, so I don't blame them for doing it. I mean, Trump certainly did in his barn burner.
In Grand Rapids
stadium in Grand Rapids. That was wow. Well, he's warming up for 2020. Stay out of Helsinki, stay out of Singapore, stay out of Vietnam. Stay in the heartland. That's where he needs to stay.
Go to your people. Go to your people, Trump. That's where he's at his best. No doubt about it.
If we can kind of come to square the circle here, is that, this briefing book that these ex-CIA officials, this is very telling on how they want to control the information flow for the 2020 election. And believe me, MSNBC and CNN, since they're down and out right now, they need to pick up on something, and I'm sure that they're going to take that as gospel.
Well, let's square one more circle before I let you go. Rand Paul says that it was Brennan that was behind spreading a lot of the dossier. So once again, the CIA had a much more prominent role than I think people, tend to believe with the Russiagate.
Well, Lindsey Graham, I think he's going to crown his career by going after these guys because, folks, the second shoe is about to drop. Mueller was the first shoe, now investigating the DOJ and the FBI. And those guys they're buck naked. We already have almost all the evidence. We just need confirmation in the timeline and the dots. It's almost all there for you to see. That means people very likely will be punished, maybe jail time. We'll see. Jim Comey, I'm not surprised you're not talking much these days. You better be quiet because you're going to need a lawyer.
Yeah, he's wandering the woods.
Yeah. Maybe he'll meet Hillary.
There you go. On that note, we'll end it. Mr. Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below. Click on the notifications bell to get notifications every time we push out a new video. Visit the Duran shop, buy a t-shirt. That really helps us out a lot. You can also get a copy of this video in audio format. Go to iTunes and SoundCloud and follow us there. And you can also donate to the Duran. The link for the PayPal and Patreon is in the description box down below. Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Thank you once again. Until next time, everybody, take care.